There are many skills for being assertive that will allow you to be assertive. Let's just start at the beginning here. When I'm saying assertive, what I'm saying is you're not being passive. In other words, you're not giving in when you don't need to, and you're not crying or placating or sulking, all those sorts of things. At the same time, you're not being aggressive, you're not criticizing and blaming and using sarcasm or interrogating people. You're being balanced and in the middle and being assertive. And one of the skills that allows you to be assertive is to actually be curious, because when you're passive or when you're aggressive, it's often because you have decided that a situation is dangerous in some way. Somebody's getting at you, or you're going to lose something that's dear to you, or they're trying to take something away from you. Whereas assertiveness is about being curious. And by thinking, okay, so I don't know enough yet to know if this is going to be negative or not. So let's think of a situation. Let's just say somebody doesn't like what you do, your boss criticizes you at work, for instance, or a client criticizes your work. An aggressive person would start to try to prove them all wrong, because they actually fear that if they let that person get away with the criticism, then somehow they'll become less than, that will harm their business or harm their reputation, that kind of thing. A passive person might avoid that confrontation. They might say, oh, I see what you mean, yeah, no, I am. Or they might sulk, so they won't actually confront the person about it, but they might go off. Whereas an assertive person will think, well, I wonder if there's some truth in this. And they'll ask a question, so they'll say, okay, so tell me more about that. What didn't you like about what I did? What do you think could be improved? They'll just find out more, and by doing that, they'll be able to sort out whether the criticism is valid or not, and whether it's worth paying attention to. But it also makes the person who's giving that feedback a bit more thoughtful about what they're doing, and able to give better quality feedback. So curiosity is a very powerful tool for resolving difficult situations and conversations where you would normally be triggered into a passive or aggressive reaction. So very closely allied to that, so you use your curiosity. So the next thing is to learn how to negotiate win-win situations. When you're being aggressive, you want the other person to lose, and it's almost feel like, well, there's a limited cake, and if I don't aggressively push for what I want, then I'll lose something. On the passive side, where you give in, then you lose out on your interests, you give way, you don't ask for what you want, then you can start to resent that person, and in the end the relationship will be lost. So neither of those ways of negotiating is very powerful or helpful. Whereas actually, if you go in the middle way, the assertive way, then what you do is you find out why the person wants what they want and why you want what you want, and you share those, and then you find out, well, what's the best way to go forward where both people can have their needs met, and that will create a win-win. And you might think that's impossible, but actually there are some very powerful questions that can help you make those win-win negotiations work, even when you think, no, it can't be possible. Another assertiveness skill is actually to develop rapport with somebody, because the thing is about interactions with people is that they become aggressive or they become passive when they feel they're not understood, or that you're taking something away from them. Whereas if you develop rapport, you show that you are willing to understand, that you're interested in their interests, then they start to feel, oh, this person knows me and likes me, and wants to find out more about me and cares about me. So developing rapport with people is a really essential part of being able to be assertive. So another assertiveness skill that's really important is being able to coach people. Whereas aggressive people will say, this is how it's done, you've got to do it my way, and this is the solution, or go and find out for yourself. And a passive person, when they want you to do something, might say, well, I'll show you how to do it, I'll do most of it for you, all those sorts of things. An aggressive person will actually have the skill to empower you to find solutions to your problems yourself, and be able to help you draw out your resources so that you can find out how to do things, or maybe even draw out the answer that's inside you that you didn't realize was there. And they do that, an assertive person does that with coaching skills. So they'll ask you questions like, well, what's the problem? And what do you want instead of this problem? And what's going on at the moment? What do you need to know to solve this? And what options have you got? And what are you going to choose to do? So really powerful coaching questions that help people think about the answers and draw out those answers from themselves where they didn't realize they were there. So another skill that assertive people have is the skill of giving quality feedback. So whereas aggressive people will criticize and blame and be sarcastic or interrogate, say, what the heck do you think you're doing, to motivate you and make sure you do better next time. And a passive person might not actually tell you what they really think. They might even give you false encouragement. An assertive person gives you balanced feedback. They tell you specifically what you did well, what they thought you did well, and also specifically what they think could improve the situation. That's sometimes called a feedback sandwich, because then you end on an overall positive comment. And I heard a delightful story the other day about, I was working with a client, and she said, oh, I tried that with my daughter recently, and she said, oh, you're giving me 3 wishes and a star. And my client was really curious about that. And apparently in her daughter's school, what they do is that they, sorry, it's the other way around. They give 3 stars and a wish. So the 3 stars are the 3 things they did really well in a piece of work. And the wish is the one thing that they'd like them to do differently. And it's a great balance, and it leaves people very open to what you have to say and changing, and it can help you turn difficult behaviour into cooperative behaviour. So if you'd like to learn more about assertiveness and how to develop your assertive skills, I'd like to offer you a free discovery session where we can talk about your levels of assertiveness, some of the situations you're dealing with where you could be more assertive, some of the barriers that are stopping you being assertive, and then the next steps that you can take to become more assertive. And you can book one of those at my buildingselfconfidence.co.uk website. You can also go to my website called www.successfulmanagers.co.uk, where you'll see some training programs and workshops that I run to help people develop skills like this.